everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kate if you're new here, and today I'm going to be telling you about my nonfiction November picks, and then I'm also going to give you some recommendations based off of the 4 prompts that what's her name, Olive from my book Olive chose. This thing that I'm moving around is a space heater. I am freezing. I'm very cold, so I'm so sorry that I look like a moron, but I'm really cold and I don't know what else to do with myself. So here we go. Well, let me just give you a background on my nonfiction November experience. If I'm being honest, I knew that it's a thing. I feel like in the past I've done more of just like oh, hopefully you read more nonfiction this month, because it's nonfiction November, but this is the first year I would say that I'm actually going to like try to follow the prompts a little bit more. Like I actually sat down and like made a list and like chose books that like fit the prompts, which is like kind of exciting. But I was also going to show you the physical books for the recommendations that I have, and I noticed that I like either can't find them or I don't own them in the first place. So that's a little bit disappointing, but it's okay. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's all right. Let's keep going. Let's start off by naming the 4 prompts that Olive chose: collection, industry, style, treatment. They're very general, very vague, very open for a reason. You know, like she wants you to be able to kind of like mold them into whatever you want. I think she wants people to not feel boxed in. She wants people to kind of read what they want to read instead of feeling very closed off, which I like, but I also think the lack of detail, I feel like, really made me struggle to fit my books to the prompts because I didn't want to buy any books. I wanted to read books that I already owned, and I don't have a big nonfiction TBR pile. So it was a little difficult, but we tried, you know? Okay, so the first category is collection. So the first recommendation I have is called Modern Love. It's like edited by Daniel Jones and a bunch of other people. So these are, I think they're essays or stories, so it might not be fully nonfiction, but I'm pretty sure it's essays that were written for a, what do you call it? Just like a little section in the New York Times. And it's just love stories. So any type of like family love, sibling love, friendship love, romantic love, literally any type of love, or even like loss, any ideas and themes surrounding just love in general was basically like written about. So like people would write in to these editors pretty much, and then they would like edit these stories, put them in the New York Times. I forget, it might have been called Modern Love is what am I trying to say? The like section, you know what I mean, in a newspaper that those stories were like filed under. I think it was called Modern Love, not sure. But yeah, I don't know, beautiful. If you love love, you love the idea of love, you want everyone to find love, whether it's, like I said, romantic love, family love, just any sort of love, anything, like you just love it, you should definitely give this one a go, because I really did enjoy myself reading it. And like I said, because it's like written by different people and the themes are similar but they're not the same throughout each like story or essay, I definitely think I flew through it because, I mean, it was something new every time. Like I didn't get bored, which is always nice, especially nonfiction, because I feel like a lot of people's complaint about nonfiction is that it's boring and it's realistic and there's no fun in it, and like that's not true. Just read something different, you know? And so I will say though that this did make me cry. You should definitely look up some trigger warnings if you're a little bit just emotionally not the most available, just to like make sure that you don't like seek out a topic that you're not really ready to think about or read about or whatever. So definitely look into it, but I did love my time reading this. The next book that I have written down as a recommendation for the topic collection, which makes me laugh that I did this, but it's In the Shadow of Man by Jane Goodall. We all know Jane Goodall. We all know who she is, I hope. woman scientist moves like across the world to study chimpanzees in the wild. She observes them, she studies them, she writes about them, she names them, she takes photographs of them. She almost runs her own little like studies on them, kind of. And it's super interesting because chimpanzees are very, very, very closely related to humans. And it was a really long time ago, so I feel like the way she went about her science is very traditional and very, I don't want to say not modern, but she didn't have like tons of technology to use when she was like doing this, so like I think that's pretty cool. And it was just like her husband, and then of course along the way they had some interns and some people who lived in the nearby like village where she stayed that would like help her. And I don't know, I'm a girl and I'm in science, and so I just thought it was like super interesting, and I thought it was really interesting, like I said, because chimpanzees are like really closely related to humans, like genetically, and I used to be like really into genetics, and so I don't know, I just found it to be like super fascinating. I will say that I guess if you're not really interested in like nature or like science at all, like you probably will not care, which makes me sad, because like how do you not care about nature? Like we all live in it, so like hello. But it's okay, you know, not for everyone. And I chose this for collection because, I mean, it's her collection of chimps, like truly, like she collected a family of chimpanzees basically and like lived over there with them. And I just thought it was fun, and I was struggling to think of another book to fit this prompt that wasn't boring, that wasn't just like a collection of essays again. So yeah, I don't know, loved it. Also, like I said, her husband ended up moving over there with her, and he was her photographer, and in the book there are photographs of her with the chimps, pictures of him, pictures of everything, and I don't know, I just think it's super fun and interesting also to look at pictures taken of someone by someone who's in love with that person. I don't know, just to like see like how that person viewed them and saw them, I guess. I don't know. I really enjoyed my time reading this. I should give it a reread, but, you know, we'll see. Maybe one day. Okay. And the book that I chose to fit this prompt is Year of the Monkey by Patti Smith. I have an ARC from forever ago. Like I used to work at a bookstore, and this was brought to my bookstore or whatever. I think I tried to read it like one time maybe and got like a page or two in and like just needed a moment. But yeah, I guess I'm excited to read this. I don't know. Like I said, it's sat on my shelf for probably at least 3 years now, so I don't know. I think I'm just like ready to like get it over with, read it, and like move on, because I keep seeing it sitting on my TBR shelf and it like bothers me, if I'm being honest. Like I think that's really like why I am kind of over it, some might say. But yeah, I don't know, I guess I'm excited. I chose this because when I was reading kind of like what it's about, I heard that it's more of like a collection of memories and experiences of Patti Smith. Like it's definitely her like reminiscing and her being like nostalgic and, like I said, collecting memories and experiences, which I don't know, I thought it fit the prompt and I own the book, so there you go. Okay, so the next prompt is industry. So the first recommendation I have is How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Love this book. It's basically how people have used in the past and still use to this day psychedelics to treat things like depression, anxiety, addiction, psychosis, all sorts of things. But I will say I think I enjoyed this book so much, obviously because the topic is super interesting, but really the way that Michael Pollan, I feel like, kind of went about it. So I feel like every chapter was split by this certain like chemical or drug that he was chit-chatting about. And he is one of those authors that actually likes to go out and like experience things, I guess, so he can actually like write about it instead of just like doing research and then writing. He like does both. He like does very personal research by like actually going out and like working with professionals to like try the chemicals and like see how it affects him, but then he also does a lot of like historical research and just like research like in the field, like talking to different experts and things like that, which I really enjoyed. It was just so well done, and so I don't want to say he's an expert on all these things, but like I loved how in depth he went. instead of just like Googling shit and just like writing about it. Like, it felt very personal to him, and I really, really enjoyed that. So like I said, highly recommend that one. This next one was actually an arc that I just finished last month, and it's called Gentrifier by Anne Moore. And it's basically written by a white woman who is a writer who won a free house because, I don't know, she's a writer and she like won it through this society of some kind that gives or gave away houses in Detroit to writers who needed a place to stay while they wrote their books and whatever. And of course, like, on the outside, you're like, wow, a free home? Like, some people are homeless. Like, that sounds like amazing. And she writes about all her hardships going through this process, how this society or like organization didn't really like hold up their end of the bargain all the time, and how, like, I don't know, just like her experience almost like helping gentrification like thrive and like live on, being a white woman living in a predominantly, I think, Bengali, I think is how you say it, Bengali, their city, that's like the neighborhood she lived in, was primarily Bengali people, I think is how you would say that. And just like her experience of her getting to know them getting to know her and her culture, and I mean, just like working through it all. And like I said, like, especially with this organization that she worked for, because like, yes, in some ways she won so hard. Like, some people will never ever ever get to like live in a home, buy a home, any of that, and she got a home for free. But also, they really screwed her over in some ways. I don't know, it was just super, super interesting. I've never read anything like it. It is a memoir, which again, I liked because I feel like, yeah, she touches on, I would say, this is what I meant by industry, like the housing industry, and just like how it all works, just like in general, which I enjoyed. So if that sounds like there's something interesting to you, like, I would definitely pick it up. There were some parts that I feel like were a little slow, but overall I really enjoyed my reading experience. And for this prompt, I chose to read The Double Helix by James Watson. It's a book by a scientist about scientists. So I'm hoping it touches a lot on the industry of like research just in general, especially like clinical, like human research. I guess we'll see though. I got this forever ago from Half Price Books. It's been sitting on my shelf for the longest time. I think I got it for like under $10. It's very old, but very short. And like I said, I'm a girl in science, so like, I think stuff like this is pretty interesting. I just think sometimes I get caught up in the like new releases of like literary fiction, contemporary fiction, and then I don't kind of go back to like my roots, is what I would like to call this, and like read what I find to be like just interesting, and less entertaining. But yeah, I am excited to get to this one actually. So the next prompt is style, which I feel like I struggled with a little bit because I was like, style, like what the fuck, like what, like who reads books about style? But apparently a lot of people, everyone but me, felt like. So recommendations. Girl in a Band by Kim Gordon. I haven't read this in so long, but she is a lead singer or one of the singers in a band called Sonic Youth, which I'm pretty sure they're really famous, and I don't really know who they are. I don't know why I picked this up, but I really did like it. I don't think it's a memoir. I don't remember, but yeah, it's like about her and her life. I guess it's a memoir. It's written by herself, so there you go. Yep, just about her life, and I categorized it in style because, I mean, just like listening to her go on and on about her, like, all her like outfits and like her lifestyle as a rock star, basically, I thought was just like really interesting and like fun and just like different. Like, I've never really read anything about a rock star, like fiction or nonfiction, like at all, and so it was just like really fun, especially being like a female rock star. I was like, wow, you are so cool. I'll never be that cool. Wish I was, but I'm not. But you're really cool, and I like reading about you. So there's that. I should definitely reread that, but I've lost the book. I have no idea where it is, so that's upsetting. The next prompt I have, or not prompt, the next recommendation I have for style is Quiet by Susan Cain. And this is basically a book about how like introverts and quieter people are I don't want to say underrepresented in society, but are undervalued. They usually aren't seen as being good leaders and like being the go-getters because they aren't loud and obnoxious and annoying. And I know that that's like rude of me to say as a quiet person, like calling all these other people like all these other things, but it's like, you know, like we really push for like teams. You gotta be a good team player, teamwork, and like talking and being loud and all these things. And it's like, why can't you just let the quiet people who work better alone just kind of like work better alone? Like, why are we constantly asking them to like change their like learning style and like their communication styles to accommodate everybody else just because those people are the louder, more dominant people in society, like telling us that's like the way it should be. But you know, like who am I to say? I just thought it was really interesting. I also watched her TED Talk forever ago. Like I think I might have read this in high school, truly. But really enjoyed my time reading this. I would say if you are on the quieter side, introverted side, you would probably also enjoy this just because, I mean, you're basically reading about yourself, and who isn't a little bit into themselves, especially when you're learning, like, I guess, some tips and tricks on how to, like, conquer some of your stuff and, like, work through life, you know? But yeah, I just thought it was super interesting. And so for this prompt, I actually started this today. It's called Yoke, My Yoga of Self-Acceptance by Jessamyn Stanley. And she's also the author of Every Body Yoga. So it's written by a larger bodied queer Black woman who started off as just someone who practiced yoga on her own, to someone who became a yoga teacher who is now more in like an industry yoga, like, I don't want to call her an influencer, but I mean, I think some might call her an influencer. I don't like know much about her life to be able to like make that distinction or anything. But I put this in style because I would say I don't want to say, like, she doesn't want you to like change your lifestyle, but I think she's really going to talk about how yoga changed her life and her lifestyle, and how the different styles of yoga, as in like more westernized white American yoga, is way different than like where yoga started and its roots, and even how it's still taught in like other cultures and different like places around the world, and what yoga really means like on a more spiritual level, which I think is definitely more why I'm interested, because I would say I've been seriously practicing yoga for the last like 2 to 3 years now. I started it more towards the end of like college with my mom and fell in love with it, which I was like really surprised by, because I definitely like, well, I used to do it in like high school and like just thought it was like fine, whatever, but I think like the older I am, the more I'm looking to feel more like connected on a spiritual level to like just like the earth and like life as a whole, because I grew up like Catholic, going to Catholic like grade school, high school, and just like never really felt, I guess, connected or like a part of it, but I've always felt very spiritual, because I feel like when you grow up in a religious family, there is like a sense of like, there is meaning to the world, and there is a reason why things are the way they are, and there are reasons like why things happen the way that they do. But I feel like if you're not really connecting with the reasons why and the what and the who and the how, I feel like you're always constantly like almost like longing for that. Even if I would say maybe like God or like Catholicism, in my case, isn't really like the answer that like comforts you and makes you feel like better about life and whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I'm very excited to keep going with this one because I have liked it so far, and yeah. Okay, so the last prompt we have is treatment. So the first recommendation I have for this is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. She has been talked about so much in the last few years. She was the victim in the Brock Turner Stanford rape case, basically. No one knew her name. She was anonymous for so long. She was known as Jane Doe, I believe. And yep. She was assaulted outside of a party. She was passed out. This guy who did it was super rich, super white, the best athlete ever, and just like, how could we ever ruin his life? yeah, he like did this horrible traumatic thing to her, and it really like, I don't want to say fucked her life up, but it changed her life like completely, fully. And you are in the depths of it with her as you go through this book. I cried so much, I gasped so much, I'm like tearing up thinking about it. It just like hit so close to home, and it just made me so sad for her and anybody else on this planet who's ever had to go through anything like she has, because her case is a little different, I would say, than others, because it actually went to court. Like, it actually got to that point where she had to like live through like the politics of it all, and just like our court system as a whole. And her case blew up, especially when her victim impact statement was released. Her name was not connected to that, but that hit a lot of people close to home. And so her case is just like, I would say just a little different, but wow. But like I said, it's about sexual assault. She's a sexual assault victim. She goes into detail of like what it was like to like find out she was sexually assaulted as she was passed out, and like just she went through it all. So like if that's not something, again, that you're like emotionally prepared to like read about, definitely do not pick it up. Like, it's not shy. It definitely like packs a punch, and like if you're not ready, you don't want to do it. But if you are, oh my god. I just remember crying so hard, and it just being so beautiful. Like, her writing was so beautiful and so impactful. And it's one of those books that I like want to push onto everybody, and I want everyone to read, but I know that everyone can't. But like, I don't know. It was just really good. And I put it under the treatment category because I feel like it really goes into detail about like what it was like to be treated as like a sexual assault victim in our society, in our culture, in America, in the court system, and just her treatment as like a woman, an Asian woman in America in general. And it was just so impactful and amazing. So the next book I have to talk about for the treatment category is First We Make the Beast Beautiful by Sarah Wilson. So, I don't know. Some of the things I really enjoyed in this book, some of them were a little bit like, okay. And you're just following this girl who deals really heavily with anxiety. I would say a lot of like generalized like everyday anxiety, and also like panic attacks. She also has bipolar, depression. She's dealing with like a lot of stuff. And kind of just like how she treats it all. You know, like she's tried all different types of therapy. She's tried medications. She's tried all sorts of things. And I think what I really enjoyed about this book in particular about anxiety was I feel like, really wanted to stress that at the end of all of this therapy, medication, different retreats and workshops and whatever, she kind of like came to the conclusion that you should treat your anxiety as more of like, I don't want to say personality trait, but something that's just always going to be with you and stay with you, instead of as a problem. You will never, ever, ever feel okay about your anxiety or about being an anxious person until you just accept that that's what it is and that's who you are. If you're always treating it like it's a problem, it just makes it worse, and it makes it this bigger thing in your head that you can't ever get rid of. And I feel like when you finally learn to accept it, you can learn how to use it to like better your life, I guess, or to just like make it more a part of who you are, instead of this thing that you find to be like separate from who you are, but that you're living with. I don't know if that's making sense, but I think that's kind of what I gathered from this book, and I enjoyed that part of it a lot. Okay, and for this prompt, I plan on reading Manic by Terri Cheney. So hopefully, it'll fit my prompt. She'll talk about her treatments that she went through, tried, found successful for her bipolar disorder. I think she was just a normal, everyday girl who started seeing really drastic changes in her mental health and her life, and kind of like she was very scared and like didn't know what it was and didn't know how to like fix it, and like how to like continue on living like a normal life until she like found out she was diagnosed with bipolar, and kind of like how that affected her and like hopefully her treatment moving forward. But this one has also been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. I think if the cover was just like a little bit cuter, I think I would have picked it up by now, because that sounds really interesting to me. But yes, I am really excited to hear what everyone else is reading for Nonfiction November. Hopefully I'll be posting some Nonfiction November reading vlogs. We'll see though. But yeah, I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye guys.